Blessings to everyone that is viewing us online. I am so grateful to announce that the time is here, facing leadership barriers. I'm excited. I'm ecstatic. I literally couldn't wait all day. I was just excited about this particular moment. Well, we're here. I want to read a brief bio about this guest that we have online. Let me set a few house rules as we begin. I want to address that for everyone that is viewing, you have the opportunity to engage. You have the opportunity to ask questions as needed. Rather, if you're on Facebook or if you're on YouTube or whichever platform you are watching from, you have the opportunity to engage. This is going to be an extremely beneficial conversation, and I encourage you to ask all of the questions, pull out your notepad, do whatever you need to do to assure that you get the best information that you need. Again, if you want to ask questions, just note it in the chat. Either you can ask the question and it will be read and addressed on the Facebook platform, or you can request to be added to the screen and you can ask your personally and verbally. So again, I want to encourage you, do not just sit here and just watch what you will be watching tonight. But I want to encourage you to engage. This participant, this guest, this panelist that we're bringing up, this is going to be an in-depth session. I'm going to read briefly her bio so that you can get to know her. She is my sister-in-law, our mama, as we call her, district missionary. Angelia Maxie has always worked in the church. She would fundraise with the children during her time in Sunshine Band. Many of you have experienced that personally. She enjoys raising funds for the household of faith and believes in the saying, you can't beat God's giving no matter how hard you try. District missionary Angelia Maxie is the eldest daughter of Bishop James Edward Hicks and First Lady Helen Hicks. You all help me pause there and applaud her legacy, our legacy, the Bishop and Mother Helen Hicks. She was saved at an early age, and like most children in church, got saved every year during the summer revivals. She states that it was during one of these events when she was a teen that the Lord saved and filled her with the Holy Ghost, and that was her real conversion in Christ. She is the CEO for Tiny Tots Development Center in South Seattle and is a strong advocate for children and families. I believe they're working now on their 7th site, if I'm not mistaken. One has partnered with the Odessa Brown. So she's doing amazing things in and around the surrounding communities. She holds a BS degree from City University in General Studies with a focus in legal administration. She has been married for 37 years to Clifton Maxie Sr. and has 3 amazing children, 2 biological and 1 adoptive. Clifton Jr., who is engaged to Dawn, 1 daughter, Nicole, and the baby boy, Philip, who we all love, who is engaged to Paola. She has 4 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. Her favorite scripture is Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundant above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. I present to some and introduce to some and present to most the one and only Angelia Maxie, district missionary. Let's applaud her and give her a virtual God bless her. Love you, sis.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. Thank you, my brother-in-law. And to all of you that are on Facebook land, YouTube land, have registered for this workshop. I am super excited to be here with you on tonight. Pastor Boles is my brother-in-law, married to my sister Jackie, and I am so proud of him. I often tease him about his ADHD because he got 1,000 ideas like me. So I tell people all the time, if you got a little bit of ADHD or whatever, don't worry about it. In ministry, it works for you. Because we all have multiple facets that we're doing. And thank God we can make it work for us. So I'm super excited to be here on tonight. I'm also impressed with Pastor Boles because he thinks outside the box. And when you think outside the box of ministry, that's where the sweet spot is for what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about church as a business, as a nonprofit entity, and how you can get the most from your ministry. So my goal tonight is to make sure that each of you, whether you are a pastor or you have your own separate entity ministry, or if you're thinking about getting into ministry, we don't have to do ministry in the four walls anymore. So whichever way you're thinking about it, tonight my goal is to help you understand that church ministry is a business and how to get the most out of that so that it benefits not only your ministry, your spiritual, that aspect, but it also benefits you financially and that you leave a legacy for your children. All right. So most of us have a mission of work that we love to do, and we don't want to leave any money on the table. If the federal government is out there giving funds to do the things that we love to do, let's go get it. So tonight's project is also fundable. Pastor Boles was funded to put this on. And look at how fantastic that is. Okay? So you want to take stuff to the next level, you need to make sure that you get some funds to be able to do that. Let's get started. Next slide. Oh, my first slide. Where's my first slide at? Reimagining the business of church. That's what we're going to be talking about. All right, next slide. Thank you. So we got a team working with us here. All right, that little girl with the red bow, if you can see her sitting on the ground with her legs crossed and she has a red bow on, that's me. My mom is behind me. I am the CEO of Tiny Tots. My mom founded Tiny Tots in 1969. Helen believed that if she kept 3 children and her own 2 children, she could not worry about finding other babysitters to keep her kids while she was trying to go to work. She said, look, let me just stay home with 3 kids and my kids. I think I can make this work. My dad was like, you will never find anybody to pay you $100 per child. It won't work. Well, that's why you should never give up on your dreams, because my mother was adamant that it could happen. Her first family had 3 children. She got my brother and myself. That was the foundation of Tiny Tots. Okay. It is now 53 years old. Yes, that deserves a hand clap. Tiny Tots is 53 years old. We are in 6 site locations. Our 7th site location is going to be a partnership with Odessa Brown Clinic and Children's. We have gone from the very beginning with my mom starting Tiny Tots out with no money in the coffers to me managing a $5 million a year budget. Okay. The Odessa Brown location is going to be a beautiful facility that has 6 classrooms, 6,000 square feet. Partnered with them. We had to raise $4.5 million to get that site, the tenant improvements, and we did it. So never give up on your dreams. My mom had a dream and it happened. Tiny Tots partners now, or has over the years, I want to say my father, he opened Unity in 1980, 42 years ago. And when he left Boeing to do full-time ministry, My mom hired him. Okay. She hired him. So Tiny Tots and Unity partnered for all those years, and we're still partnering to this day. We're separate entities. Unity is Unity, and Tiny Tots is Tiny Tots. And I will talk to you about why that's important later on. All right. Thank you. My next slide. Now, most pastors, they're called to shepherd, and most ministry folks, you are called to do this. You're called to serve people. You have an instinct within yourself to be there, to help others, to teach, to serve, to be a leader. And so that's why you're called to do this work. All of those traits are fundable. Leading, shepherding, teaching, helping, serving, all of those traits are traits that you can get somebody else to pay you to do that work. And that's why we're here tonight. Now, the Bible states in Mark 16 and 15, he said unto them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all the creations. And many other scriptures like that is what is reasons why people are called. The scriptures are full of teaching us how to set up a church and even the formation of how the leaders should be in the church. And so those are all biblical principles. And I'm not here to debate about how you're supposed to be set up, who your leadership team is, or any of that. I'm here to tell you that those same biblical principles for leadership will be able to get you paid. All right. Next slide. Your typical church has a pastor, church secretary, musicians, janitor, sound tech, choir director. All of those are considered staff roles. Got to think about it. Those are staff roles. They're not just only ministry operations. They are roles that can get paid because they're staffing a position. Now, many can be volunteers, and I know I can already hear it. Y'all are saying, well, why can't I just have somebody volunteer to do that? They don't need to get paid. That's just in their heart to do. They want to just do it because God told them to do it. That is wonderful. But like the old saying is, you get what you pay for. So sometimes you get volunteers that have a heart to do, and they will do that job. And other times you get volunteers that on a Sunday morning, you come in and the janitor forgot to clean the restroom because he got too busy doing something with his family. And then there you go. What you supposed to do about it? But if it was a job, if it was a requirement, if it was something that the janitor knew, I work 3 hours a day to make sure this is done, and at the end of my 3 hours, I'm going to get compensated. That's what we're getting to that. We're trying to get you to understand it's a business. All right. Next slide. Your church is a business. I'm trying to scream it loud to you. And you want to think about it as being a business because that's how corporate America thinks about it, as being a business. Why do you think that they ask you to make sure that you register yourself? So there's no point in you being a half business. You might as well be a full business that can benefit from all the goodies that are out here available to you. And I don't say that a church should ever think about changing its function from what it is. But I do say that every church should have two entities. Your church, that is the nonprofit that does what the church mission is, and another nonprofit that is similar to what your church mission is, but it does things that are out there on the service level. And then that way the two can combine, offset, utilize each other. You got to think outside the box again. Remember, tonight's topic is reimagining how you can do church as a business. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have those articles of incorporation tight. This is for either your church or your church business that's similar, whether that is like Pastor Boles has Team Redeem Life Center. So whether that's a life center that is connected to your church, or whether that is a child care that is connected to your church, or that is a feeding ministry that is connected to your church, however you want to do it, you want to have your articles of incorporation state what your business is, what you are doing, and how you're doing it. You're going to set up your federal tax ID number so you can open a bank account. If you have a church and a nonprofit business, you should have 2 separate bank accounts. Now, I know you're like, well, I got to have 2. You got to have 2. Your church should have a business bank account with what the church does, and your nonprofit business should have a bank account for what it does. 2 separate bank accounts because they're 2 separate entities. Bylaws. This is the meat and potatoes of what you need is your bylaws. Your bylaws are the structure and your rules for how your organization works. I'm going to tell you a little story. When my father died, the National Church of God in Christ came in and they thought that Tiny Tots was connected to Unity and that they were able to go and look at all what Tiny Tots had going on and what Tiny Tots was going to do. Because we had 2 separate bylaws, 2 separate entities, 2 separate. The church, what my father had established, went the route that he had established. The child care established the way it was established. 2 separate entities. They worked together, they partnered together, but they were 2 separate entities. Policies and procedures. When you have those in place, how you do, what you do, when you do, where you do. Google is your best friend for policies and procedures. There's other organizations out there that can help you develop your policies and procedures for what you do. All right. Then you want to establish your 501c3 and make sure that both your church and your nonprofit entity have their 501c3. That's where you're able to start to request funds. You're able to ask government entities, public entities, private entities for money to fund the projects, the ideas, the visions that you have. So you need your 501c3. All right, now I'm going to stop right here and ask if there are any questions before we move to the next slide. Do I have any questions? My folks that are out there keeping track of my questions, they're going to let me know. If I kind of talked a little fast, because that's how Auntie Angie is. But if I have any questions on what I've said so far, let's go back over what I've said while we're waiting to see if I have any questions. I've talked about your church as a business. I've talked about the fact that your typical church has staffing positions that should be paid. And I've talked about reimagining how your church can look if your church creates itself as a business. Someone wants to know, where can we get a 501c3? Okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is that is a legal procedure that you have to establish, and LegalZoom.com is your best friend. I love LegalZoom.com. And you go to LegalZoom.com and you say, I want a 501c3. And they will help you establish your 501c3 for either your ministry or your church or both. because your church should definitely be a 501c3. It's already a nonprofit, but you need to establish yourself out there in the world of getting the nonprofit, because it has to be recognized for most government entities to give you money. You're already, by the nature of being a church, a charitable organization. But to give a 501c3 is that extra level that proves that you are doing the nonprofit work, that all government entities are then able to say, I recognize you and I can fund you. Somebody asked, can both of the nonprofits be in the same building? Yes. Yes. Good question. Both of the nonprofits can be in the same building, because a building is only housing an organization. It's the work you do that makes you separate. So if your church is saving souls, caring for the lost, and it's got that address, and your other address is doing feeding the homeless and making sure that I'm going to get to that in my next slide. But yes, so let's get to the next slide. There we go. Next slide. I'm going to answer this question. Very good. Needs of the community. That was a very good question. If your church loves to clean up graffiti, help homeless, where am I at? Yes. Do family support. If your church does those things, then your church is eligible to be the nonprofit. Safe streets, emergency food, tutoring services, gang prevention, family mental health services, child or youth services. These are all things that a church claims to say they want to do because it's in their mission. And what I'm telling you is that, yes, it's in your mission, but it is also in the mission of the school districts, community-based organizations, local businesses, politicians, government, and city leaders. So who is in your community? This is what you want to mirror together. You're saying, I want to do these things that are identifiable needs. And then who is in my community that wants to help fund those? Give you an example. School districts really want somebody to be there to do after-school programs to take care of children. If your church or a subset of your church, say your youth department, says it's in our mission to provide an after-school program that teaches young girls that they should have self-esteem and that they should care about themselves, that young boys should be valuable in their community and reach out. If that's your mission, and then there's a school in your community that says, we need somebody after school to do that. Don't you know that if you present that information to them, they would allow you to come in and do that program? I've done it before. I've done it before. Schools want that. We're so caught up being in our four walls that we don't get out of the four walls and get into the spaces that need us. Okay? Local businesses. You don't think local businesses want graffiti off of their walls? And if there's somebody in your church that says, it's our mission to clean up the walls, and while we're cleaning up the walls, we're spreading the good news, you don't think a local business would say, you know what? We would love to fund your program that does safe streets, cleaning graffiti. We're going to pay your ministry to do that work. Now, that local business not only is paying you to do that work, but they know you're there. They know you are there for them. Churches, ministries, we have got to get to the point where the community wants to have you there. They are excited that you are in their square footage, that they know that ministry is there and they care about the community. Politicians, these people work for you. They work for you. They want the same safe streets, same nice neighborhoods as you do. They have programs that they're able to fund out of their own budgets, or they're able to work with you to collaborate around getting other funds to get it done within your budget. Same thing with government and city leaders. All right, next slide. We talked about the basic needs, that you have the graffiti cleanup, the homeless, food distribution. All of these things are fundable. I get so excited when I hear people talk about things that they want to do. Because I'm a fund development person, my mind just rings cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. When I hear you say, I want to do a computer lab, or I want to do some family support, or I want to have a food drive, first thing I say is, how can we get you the money to do the stuff that you want to do? It is fine that your church wants to raise funds to get it done, but how long can they do it over time without getting either tired of supporting it, run out of money, or they get bored? But if you got a fund that said, I want this ministry to make sure they have an ongoing food kitchen going on, and they pay you for that, that's more long term. Okay? All right, next slide. Education. This is another big one. A lot of ministries, churches want to do educational support, tech support. They want to be able to have devices and headphones to give out to people, hotspots. They could have ELL or behavioral learning classes. All of those things are fundable. All right? Okay, next slide. The power of community. Now, this is where you have to be willing to get outside of your comfort zone, because you cannot do this work alone. The power of community means I have to extend myself to somebody else. Every ministry, every church, every pastor, every ministry leader should know what legislative district you are in. What legislative district you're in. And you should know the politicians in it. If you don't do anything else but what I've said tonight, is get off this Zoom and tomorrow look up your legislative district, reach out to your politicians and introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, what your ministry does, and how it's focused. And invite them to come out. Have tea with you, coffee with you, to see what you're all about. They work for you, okay? You need to know your city, county, state, all of those workers. Every last one of those entities up the chain have funds to do good work, okay? And they need to know about you. Every school district should know about you. And every local business in your neighborhood should know who you are. You got to do some work. So the power of community means get out of those four walls, preaching to the masses. We are already converted. We already love you, Pastor. We already know what your ministry is. But you got to get out of those four walls and get out into the community and let them know what you're doing. Now, you might ask why. Why do I need to get out of my four walls? Why do I need to be community oriented? I'm going to give you an example of Pastor Boles, and that's why he brought me here on tonight, because he did it. He listened to what I said, and I tell people all the time, I will give some advice out, but if you don't want to listen, I really ain't got time for all that, because my information is valuable. But what I told him is, when he started cleaning up garbage and wanting to do barbecues and community this and the community that, I said, Pastor, all those ideas are fundable. You need to make sure that you're getting paid to make sure that you can give stipends to your staff that are out here volunteering to do this work. That is great, they're volunteering, but why not make sure that you pay for their gas, or make sure that you give them a stipend so if they have to have a babysitter while they're doing the cleanup work? That's just being kind and considerate. Well, he listened, and immediately he received some funds to get food and supplies. That's easy. Most people want to give you money for food and supplies. That's easy. They're like, food, supplies, that's easy. We can write it off. That's good. We give you some food supplies. But when he reached out to the police department, they were not only impressed with what he was doing and how he was doing it, they wrote him into a program, his first program to do Team Redeem Life Center, and he did tutoring. After he did the tutoring, the mayor got his attention. And the mayor had a budget to say, I'm going to fund the men and women who care program. So when you're walking around the street with your little t-shirts on and caring about the community, we're going to make sure that you have food. We're going to make sure that your people are able to have some gas stipends. You know, it wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough to get the word out there. Next, he had significant funding now with the Department of Justice for gang prevention and gun prevention. These programs all fit within his overall program goal for a mission to help his community. It did not change who he was. So you don't have to change who you are. His mission was already there to help people, was there to be kind, was there to be considerate, was there to be a help, was there to break down the barriers, were there to be outreach to men and women. It was already there. Next, because I was so impressed with the work that they were doing, I started reaching out to talk about how can we do behavioral health changes. Team Redeem and Tiny Tots are going to partner to do a behavioral health clinic, all totally separate from a church. Totally separate from a church. These are the nonprofit ministry entities that are aligned with what the church mission is, but are separate. So I want to tell you why that is, and I'm going to open it up for questions again. The reason why you want to have a separate entity, I told you I was going to get back to that. Tiny Tots was Tiny Tots, and Unity is Unity. When my parents died, and especially for me being a girl, the church had to go through the whole process. Who's going to be the next person that's going to lead Unity? My father was a pastor. He had a salary. He was in charge of Unity. He was all of that. It wasn't going to fall to me because I'm a girl. So I wasn't going to be able to carry on his legacy of Unity. Now I am the president of the board, and I am able to be involved in what the ministry decisions are around, the facilities and that thing. But the minister is a male figure in our church because in the Church of God in Christ, we had to go through that procedure. So all my life of sacrificing my parents in church ministry, his legacy of a church could not be left to me. My two sons, they're not ministers. That's not what they want to do. They're not interested in that at all. So the ministry carries on, and I'm so glad to be a part of the board, which helps the ministry carry on. But there was nothing that I was going to be in that legacy. Separate Tiny Tots, which is the legacy my mother created, which partnered with Unity, but it was separate. I have a job. I have a career. I have a legacy that I'm helping to carry on what she did. My children, my son works in part of that. Philip is working there. That's part of his ministry. He loves youth. My grandchildren are able to come up. That's going to be part of their legacy. So do you see why creating the two is important? Pastor Boles is now creating Team Redeem Life Center because Freddie may not want to pastor Redeemed by the Blood. Redeemed by the Blood will carry on with whatever that ministry is, but Team Redeem Life Center, Freddie may be able to be a director, an accountant, an office manager. So you're going to always want to make sure that you have two separate entities that are related to each other, not only for legacy purposes, but it just keeps things straight. Okay, I got some questions here. When you say creating bylaws, in which way must they be created? Not sure how to answer that question, but you can Google bylaws, and you must have bylaws. There's a standard of what your bylaws need to be when you have a nonprofit. But I would just Google that, because I'm not here today to tell you, to go through the bylaws. I'm just going to tell you that you need them. So you need bylaws when you have your nonprofit. Every nonprofit must have bylaws. And so go to your Google that up, and it'll give you samples. There's lots of samples of bylaws. Okay. So I'm here for any more questions. If there's any other questions, or I'm almost done to the end of my presentation, but I really wanted to hone in on that part about making sure you have the two entities and why. Okay, next slide. And if there's any questions, they can let me know. Okay, I'm almost to the end here. Ensuring your team has shared values. Wow. This is the most important thing that any ministry can do. A lot of us take whoever we got sitting in the audience, and we say, that's my team. Well, you need to make sure that your team has shared values for you. So this is something that you can do after this presentation is over. But it's simply a heart, a tree, and a star. And I can't interact with you all, so I can't hear your responses, but I'm going to say it like this. What are the items that you are passionate about? You need to list that. So you take your pen, take your little pen, and you write down, what am I passionate about? For me, it's youth. And I love advocacy. And I love helping people. So list the things that you are passionate about. Those are the things you want to put in there. The next thing is, what are your talents? What are your talents? Meaning, point to you. What are your talents? The things that you are good at. For me, I'm good at raising money, organizing. I'm very good at organizing. Seeing the big picture. I think I can see the big picture good. But you list the things that you are good at. I love reading legal documents. Next, how do you, meaning pointing at yourself, how do you like to be recognized? Do you like pats on the back when you've done a good job? Do you like verbal affirmations? Way to go. Teamwork. Do you like chocolates delivered to you? How do you like to be recognized? For me, when I did this workshop, it was hard for me because I don't really need to be recognized. I do what I do because I'm self-driven. You can say thank you, and that's good. I don't need any touchy-feely whatever. I'm self-driven. If I put myself through a task, I'm going to get it done. But what the presenter said that presented this, and I took it from her to share with you all, is, Angie, that's good that you're self-driven, but you need to recognize that in yourself, because if you don't have other people that line up with the same passions, talents, and recognition as you, that's where you get frustrated. Because you need to have people similar to you to help move along. So next slide. And her point was, You want to have 5 people in your boat. And these are the 5 drivers that get you to the next level. And I had to think about that. Who are the top 5 people that surround you, that help push your mission forward? For me, 3 of those people are like me. I'll never have to tell them thank you. They're going to get the job done, late night, whatever. We all just say high five. We're happy that the job got done. But 2 people do need that affirmation. And so I had to think to myself, I've got to think that through. Because if you got to spend time on those 2, it's slowing you down. Doesn't mean that you don't do it. You just need to know that if you had 5 people rowing in the same direction that was similar to how you do it, woo, how much further could you get? So you need to think about that as you're developing your team for moving towards that next level. You want people that have the same passion, similar talents as you, and that are recognized in the way that you are. The other people that are part of your larger community, they're on other boats. We're all moving the same direction. They're on other boats, though, with people that are similar to them, so that the work continues on. All right, next slide. This is it. I'm reflecting on spending this time with you all. It has been an amazing opportunity to share with you that church is indeed a business, and you can get paid for doing the things that you love to do already. These are things that are in your mission, things that are in your spirit, things that are in your community spirit. You want to do these things as a reflective community together. So I thank you for this time, this opportunity. If there's any other questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, we're going to bring Pastor Boles on to see if he has any questions for me, and we're just going to move on to the next level. But thank you all for this opportunity to share with you.
Wow. That's all I can really say. And as you were talking, Angie, I reflected on, as it pertains to church and being the president of region number 6, how they require, being a part of this grand organization, they require you to bring in a level of funding every year. And because you were, we were blessed to have you on our team, you made it your job, as it pertained to the work that we were doing, to tie in funding so that we can be guaranteed to make our yearly reports. And that was one less thing that we had to really worry about, so that,
Right,
as it was stated from you, so that we can pay it focus on doing ministry. And so I think about
exactly.
that when you set yourself up to be funded, it allows you a better opportunity and a greater focus to be able to just do ministry, not have to beat the people
Yes,
upside the head trying to raise money, wearing them out with all these programs. When you tie your ministry to community events and community initiatives, it allows you to really focus on ministry. And I'm just, and one of the things that really stood out to me, as you stated, you don't have to change who you are. You can do all of
yeah,
this and still do not have to change who you are. You're the best.
no. I
You're the
don't know
best.
what this question is. Speaking of money, is giving time. I'm not sure what that question is about, but
Well,
I
we're
will
going.
say this. I was
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say this. I am, because I was raised up in a preacher's home, and I saw how hard my father worked, and I saw how hard my mother worked, and I know that they wanted to do so much more, but the people were limited in what they could do. It was like with the Othello building. When we first were presented with that building, they told us you will need to raise $2.2 million for the tenant improvement. Well, we had never raised $50,000 before. So, it was like, but I didn't say give up. I was like, we can do it. But then I said to myself, okay, I need to find other people who have done this to ask them how. And I did that. And when I did, and they told me, there's the facilities funds over here, there's a program over here, there's a program over there. We only reached out to 3 other entities to raise. Our first grant was $1.5 million. Our second grant was $900,000. And our third one was $766,000. And then I started getting individual people that gave us $80,000, $100,000, $50,000, because the idea was so wonderful. So when you have a great idea and you present it outside of your 4 walls, to other people who want to see that happen, they're willing to support it. Most people want a safer neighborhood, children that are lovely with their parents, families that are able to get food more successfully. Most communities do. And so when you as a ministry in your church or your other nonprofit ministry position yourself to say, I can do this, the sky's the limit. Pastor Boles, you're seeing some of that yourself.
Yeah. Now, there's a few comments on Facebook, Ange, I want to address. Pastor James Jacobs, he's going to actually be presenting on Saturday about passing the mantle. And he mentioned opportunities are created through funding. Sister Phyllis said, this has been awesome and so inspiring. Can't believe this was a free seminar. Thank you. Missionary Brown said, this is outstanding. There's a lot of great feedback from this information. And granted, I'm going to be honest with you. Literally, in order to receive this type of information, you have to literally pay. I was just anticipating to go to a banquet or a service in Memphis, and the tickets was like $500 and $600. You would literally have to pay $500-$600 plane ticket, round trip, registration fee, hotel, food. You would literally be out of over $2,000 just for this type of information. And I like this information because it came from someone that's credible, someone that's doing the work. You're not just doing the work in Seattle, but you have trusted our organization enough to expand to all the way to Kent, territory that you knew nothing about, but you trusted the partnership, you trusted the shared vision. And watch this, you all. I didn't have to even compromise. A lot of people think that you got to compromise to do this work.
You don't.
No,
you don't.
You do not have to compromise. It's a matter of literally seeing where you want your work in the community to be.
Yes.
As far as the church entity, that's who God's called you to be over. That's between you and God. But there's an outside world where you need to really find the necessary partnership. I'm proud to say that I am the brother-in-law to Angelia Maxie, the husband to Lady Jacqueline Boles. This is a phenomenal platform. And if you look at the flyer, this is only the beginning. And as it's been stated, this is an in-depth session. You all have Missionary Maxie's, you have her Facebook platform. You know how to reach her. I want to encourage everybody. Again, this has been some fruitful information, some fruitful knowledge. And the way I know is because I tried it myself. And as she
but don't be reaching me on Facebook in my inbox, because I done already told you guys information on this class. So
but this is how This is how we're going to push the connectivity of Angelia Maxie. We all know that these type of platforms and this type of information that has been given is something that it's commonly in a book. You have to literally either go on Amazon and read this type of stuff in a book. I want to encourage at least 30 people that believe in the information that's been provided. I want to inspire and encourage at least 30 people that have been blessed by this particular platform, facing leadership barriers. Indeed, I wish more pastors were on here, more elders were on here, but there's a host of people that is on here from all of our different platforms. I want to encourage at least 30 people to sow a $20 seed. That's my petition. I want to encourage at least 20 people to sow a $20 seed. Although Missionary Maxie, she does not want you in her inboxes and things of that nature. This petition can actually reach her and yet still be a blessing to her. All right. So I want to encourage about 30 people, and I want you to post it on the Facebook. I want you to post it in the comment section. If you are going to sow tonight, there's so many different ways to give on our platform. You have helped us out in so many ways already by sharing this event. You did a phenomenal job. These numbers have been consistent, letting us know that you have literally been engaged. You have asked your questions. I hope you have taken all of your notes. But I want to encourage 30 people to at least sow a $20 seed. And watch this. This is how much of a blessing Missionary Maxie is. She was the first one to sow a $20 seed tonight. My wife.
Oh yeah, because you can't beat God's giving, no matter how hard you try.
Talk about it, Missionary.
Well, I'm just telling you, you can't beat his giving, no matter how hard. I've been raised from a little girl with that saying, and not any amount of money I have ever given to the church has ever been a misplaced donation. Whatever I've given, $100, $500, $1,000, whatever I've given, I've not missed it. The Lord has always blessed me. Things come around another way. I get it back some other way. I got a check today in the mail for $1,800. I wasn't even looking for it. I was like, what? Where'd this come from? So, wow. But Mother Flowers taught us as little children in the Sunshine Band. She used to tell us, look for checks in the mail. And I tell you, God will do that. So wow. if I, $20 seed is no more than what's right to thank God for this opportunity. That's another part of the funding. Now that's another part of funding. Most fund developers want to know that your community also believes in you. So when you can show that your community will also give something towards the work that you're doing, they like to fund you knowing your community also believes in you. So this is a good thing you're doing, Pastor Boles, by asking the community to say, yes, we appreciate hearing this information tonight and we want to, hear more of it. And so that is a great thing. I love sharing information with people and I don't mind. I agree with you that I feel really, really sad that there are different pastors that I reached out and told them to be on this platform. And I don't know if they're on here or not because I can't see everybody. But I'm going to tell you this. If you missed it, and then 6 months from now, you come calling Angie, how can I get my nonprofit together? I'm not being bothered with you. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. So when opportunities come, you need to jump on the opportunities when they are here and take advantage of it. Because people don't have time to waste. And the time is ticking on by. BSK, which is in Seattle, the funds are out there. Every other, I don't know, people are from all over the world listening to this. I don't care where you are at, funds are available for your nonprofit mission in your church or your ministry right now. Get busy, get with it. If he's asking for a $20 seed, invest, sow your seed. You will be blessed.
Thank you for that. They're sowing now. Synovia has sown. Even our James Jacobs have sown a $25 seed. Catherine Johnson, I see you.
You
Keep
can't
sowing.
beat his giving. You
Not
can't
at
beat his
all.
giving. God,
Not at
God
all.
is no short of his promise, and he will do exactly what he says will do. When they asked me to raise $2.2 million, little did we know we were going to need $4 million. When I tell you that 3 phone calls got us $4 million, I had no idea how I was going to get that $4 million. None. No idea at all. I can look back now. Now that's a whole nother story. But I can look back now how God brought me over. In the middle of it, I just was like, Lord, what do I do? 3 phone calls. 3 phone calls got us over $4 million. And that is because I have always been a consistent giver. Always. I know God blessed me to meet that need, and he will bless you. I believe that.
So we're wrapping it up, y'all. You guys heard it from the one and only missionary Angelia Maxie. I've seen my mom. She's also have sown. It's still coming in. Just be a blessing. Be a blessing. Now, listen, I want to encourage everybody, being that this is on Facebook Live, I want you all to go back and tag somebody in this particular video. And let's give me that number. Pastor James Jacobs, give you a number. Amen. You can go to the Cash App. You can go to the Cash App, Pastor, at what's the name of it? Redeem Redeem 703. Redeem 703. You can go there and sow your seed. I want to encourage everybody. There's all the different ways to give on the bottom of your screen. I'm encouraging you all to do your very best. Okay. If you do not have a $20 seed, again, I encourage at least 30 people to sow a $20 seed tonight. If you do not have a $20 seed, just sow the best that you can. Sow the best that you can. It's not a demand. It's just a request. All right. I want to encourage everybody to go and share. Share. Tomorrow, we're moving a little bit higher with an in-depth conversation, in-depth session, again, facing leadership barriers, how to bridge the gap. We need to learn how to bridge the gap. The flyer's on the screen with Dr. LaVon Davis tomorrow at the same time at 6 p.m. Bridging the gap. I'm telling you, you do not want to miss this moment. You do not want to miss these opportunities and these guests that have literally gave this their all. And so again, I want to encourage you to like and share. I can't say it enough. Please share. Everybody that you know needs to hear this information. All right. We're out of here until next time. Missionary Maxie, we love you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule just to be a part of this particular platform to help us little folk that's trying to become something great. We love you guys. Thank you, Facebook family. And we will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. same time, Pacific Standard Time. Be blessed.
Be blessed.